The most common thing that professionals tell me before we work together is some version of this statement. I'm not sure that anyone can capture how I actually talk, my voice. It needs to sound like it's from me, and I don't think you can do that. Sometimes they're blunt about it, sometimes they're really polite about it, but the underlying concern is always the same. They've spent 20 years building a voice that their clients trust, and they're not handing it over to a stranger who might flatten it or ruin it. The last thing you want is a book that sounds like everybody else's. I had a client recently named Jeff, and he had already published one book before he found me. He wanted a sequel to fit the series that he'd built, the same voice, the same framework, the same readers, picking up that book and feeling like it's part of a continuation of book one. That's a little higher bar than just writing from scratch, right? From scratch, I'm capturing a person and their voice. But with a sequel, I'm matching a person who's already on the page from a book that I didn't write. So there's a little more pressure there. But here's how my voice capture process works, just at a top level. When you sit down for an interview with me, I'm listening for two things at once. I'm listening for the content, so what you actually know, what we're putting in the book, but I'm also listening to the form. The form is the way that you structure sentences naturally as you talk and the ideas that come up. Both of those things happen in that 60 to 90 minutes, and they come out in the recording at the end. So for Jeff, I read his first book before the interview. So I took note of the rhythm, the structure, the kinds of openings that he liked. I watched where he repeated phrases and where he varied them. I built kind of a mental map of how he sounded on the page. And then we got on the call and I asked him about the topic of book two. We walked through the outline just like I do with every client. But 60 minutes later, I had the substance plus a refreshed read on his actual current voice, which had shifted a little bit since the first book had come out. Voices do that over time. The draft came back. Jeff opened it with the line that every writer hopes for. He said, "This sounds like my next book." I like to hear that. That phrasing is earned by the voice capture process. The new draft read like a continuation of the previous book. He's already planning a third one with me, so obviously I must have done a good job. Now, if you've been holding off on getting a book written by a ghostwriter because you don't trust somebody else to capture how you sound, send me a DM on LinkedIn. Reply to the email that got you to this video. I'll walk you through the actual process that I use to capture how someone talks step by step. You can decide if it sounds like something that would work for you. Thanks for watching.